Welcome back to the county seat. Our topic today is disappearing agricultural lands. In our last segment, John had mentioned the American Farmland Trust. How does that work exactly?
Well, that is mostly a research organization, but there are in Utah several organizations that work with farmers to try to create an opportunity for them to get some of the value out of their land by removing the development rights from the property while allowing the farmer to continue to use it for agricultural production. They do that with an agricultural conservation easement. In some cities they use transfer of development rights or clustering opportunities. Those organizations are working with farmers, and the organization I represent, the Quality Growth Commission, which manages the Lee Ray McAllister Fund, does some of that as well.
And so is there actually, if you'll do an easement, there's a financial dollar number that comes to it? Or because it would seem to me that if it's just a matter of saying, well, we'll put these easements on your land to make your life better for you, from what you said, that's not going to really help. Is that?
There are two ways that it can happen. One is that in some cases people do donate easements, but they do that for a tax benefit because there are fairly substantial federal tax benefits that come for that. But in most cases, the farmer actually gets paid for those development rights. What you do is you do two appraisals. You see what's the farmland worth if it's developable, what's it worth if it's not, and the difference is what they get compensated for. And it's anywhere from 40 to 80% depending upon those development rights. So you can make a fairly substantial amount of money if you put your land under easement, if you can find the necessary resources to pay for the easements.
Well, Curtis, as a farmer, I mean, we're aware, anybody that's lived here their whole life is aware that the ag lands, I mean, they've all but disappeared in Salt Lake. Anything that was in fruit and vegetable production is gone, other than, you know, pear tree in your backyard. But what is the pressure? It would seem to me, I've always been under the impression that the taxes become the issue and the land becomes too valuable and the tax burden too high, and that's why you don't keep it. Is that really the impact?
Oh, I don't know quite sure how to answer that. Well,
what is the biggest impact on land?
Well, as a farmer, the first thing you ask, does the ground have water? That's the first thing when you look at a piece of property, because you can't do anything without water in Utah. And so we're always looking at water as the #1 issue. And one of the things that we're facing right now is, you know, a lot of municipalities are trying to buy water because they're growing so fast. And so we're competing with the different cities around the county trying to buy water into this limited water source. And so as we look at price and value of ground, you know, I don't think we realize the effect that water has on that price. And a lot of people don't realize that. Well,
Larry, you had a chance to hang out in his neck of the woods. What struck you as the biggest surprise in the cost of operation?
Well, I think there's a lot of science and technology involved in what they do. And of course that all adds and helps with the issue that Curtis was just talking about, and that is in the effective utilization and making the water resource stretch as far as it can. There are costs, it appears to me, well beyond that which I had ever imagined in terms of caring for the product as it's growing. And certainly there's labor involved in that, but also there's the acquisition of pesticides and all kinds of chemicals, and the utilization of those certainly is done with the best science, and these guys are managers of just about everything there is. But I think we need to look to find a way which allows them to continue to do what they do while we attempt to deal with the growth issues.
Okay, well that's a good setup for us to come back and conclude this portion of the program. So stay with us, we'll be back with the county seat. Our topic is the disappearing agricultural lands. When we come back, we will perhaps look at some of the small things that are happening in some communities that actually have a negative impact on people growing produce here in the state. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
the State of Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration. SITLA manages 3.5 million acres of Utah lands with the express purpose of furthering the education of Utah students while promoting local industry, oil and gas, even residential development, all at the same time. Through the careful use of trust lands, we distributed more than $22 million to Utah schools last year. The State of Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration, building the state's permanent school fund.
Engines on 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have liftoff.
So what brings you to St. George?
Business meeting.
Staying long?
Just here for the day. Quick in and out. On second thought. Holy.
We'd like to invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy your 45-minute flight to Salt Lake.
I should have booked a weekend.